This episode of the Multi-Orgasmic Mama is brought to you by the Sensually Embodied Women Collective. Are you ready to remove all your blocks to pleasure, turn on intimacy and connection, and feel confident and sexy in your body? Then join us in our sparkly and supportive group of other like-minded mamas and women all around the world, breaking the taboos around sex and motherhood and sex and the sacred, stepping into their authentic sensual and sexual expression and having the most mind-blowing sex of their lives. Join us at tillystorm.com/sensually-embodied-woman. Hi, I'm Tilly Storm, a holistic sex and jaded coach and tantric sex teacher, all-around pleasure and prosperity advocate. If you're ready to take your sex life to the next level with my programs and offerings, meet me over at tillystorm.com. Welcome back, Hot Mamas. It's Tilly, and today I have a special guest for you, Miss Carissa Connor, a massage therapist, a Pilates instructor, and a career longevity coach. I'm bringing on Carissa today to share with you her journey about radical self-acceptance. When Carissa joined my signature 10-week Sensually Embodied Woman program, she struggled with allowing herself to be present and fully accept and enjoy all the pleasure in her life, as though there was like a cap on how much pleasure she could handle before going into her head and thinking about all the mundane things in her life there was to think about. She really wanted to feel comfortable and confident in her skin, to be able to celebrate all of her pleasure, to be totally embodied and present in her sexuality with her amazing partner, and to be able to ask for what she wanted and needed. She had such an epic transformation that I wanted to share her story with you all today, because I have a feeling that some of you relate, and maybe you will be inspired by Miss Carissa as well. So here's Carissa. Hope you enjoy. Welcome, Carissa. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm super excited for you to share with us your journey and the Essentially Embodied Woman program. But first, we would love to get to know a little bit more about you, what your family's like, what you do for a living, all that kind of stuff.
All right. So we have a blended family. It's my husband and his 16-year-old, and then my 12-year-old. I'm in a house full of boys, and I have been a massage therapist for 21 years. And we live in a very rural mountain town in Colorado. Yeah, so that's just kind of like the basics of me.
Awesome. Very cool. And your son's 12, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. I have a 12-year-old as well. Yeah. Well, I'm curious, what is it that you were struggling with that you really wanted to join the program for? Like, what did you really want to get out of it?
I think what I was really looking for was being comfortable in my own skin. I think that I had a lot of body shame, and I did not feel good being all of me. I struggled a lot being a people pleaser. And so with that, you kind of confine yourself to what I called my small box. And, and it was not safe to be outside of that, because I might make waves, I might hurt somebody's feelings or offend someone. And so I had a real limited capacity for being myself. I also had a kind of like a cap on how much pleasure I could experience. So it wasn't that, my husband and I had a terrible sex life or anything. It's just that there was just a capacity within myself where like I could only take in and experience so much good before I started checking out and thinking about like the to-do lists and the appointments I needed to set or whatever. And I lost being present in the moment. So I really wanted to be able to experience all of the goodness, be fully present and alive in my body. And it was really kind of what I was looking for. And also a little bit of confidence, just to be boldly me with no hesitation or shying away.
Yeah. And the thing about
thinking about the to-do list, all of that. Oh God, that's every woman I ever hear, right? It's so hard
I know.
to be present and in the moment when you're trying to experience a pleasurable moment. Like, why is it so difficult? Why can't we tap into that more easily? And I know you've had some big breakthroughs and wins around all of that. So we're all excited to hear about what your biggest results were and those ones were.
This was really hard for me because there was so much. Like, I just feel so much more freedom, confidence. Like, I feel ecstatic to be me now, which, 3 short months ago would have been hard for me to believe that this would be kind of my reality of feeling in my skin. Like, I feel sexy, before I had kind of had that story of like, I'm just the cute girl. Like, I don't really do sexy, but yes, I am a very sexy woman and I feel that deeply, like in my bones. Let's see. I struggled with the self-acceptance piece. I thought that some of my desires were too far outside of my small box to be able to accept them and embody them. And it took a little while, but I'm now able to celebrate, like not just accept or kind of tolerate like the things that I desire, but actually full body, like arms up in the air, yelling, yes, that is me. And that is what I want. And I can ask for it without blushing and without like any kind of knots in my stomach or hesitation. And I experienced sex with full presence. Like the orgasms and everything are amazing. And it's not like the orgasm is the goal, but the whole experience is just fantastic. I mean, I feel more. Like the sensitivity in my body has awakened in a way that I never knew I was missing. God, there are just so many things. I mean, like so much big stuff, little stuff. I mean, like I'm creating boundaries, in ways that I wouldn't before. And it's not just around sex, but it's like actually declaring that I have a lot of value and that I have valid needs. So yes, like I need my family and my kids and my husband to step up and support me more. And I can say and do all of that without the guilt of, oh, I'm asking too much. No, I'm asking exactly for what I need, which is perfect. God, I don't know. I could go on and on. Honestly, like I spent money on nice lingerie, like
yeah, let's hear about that.
Again, like really opening and accepting this, like I am sexy, right? Like I wouldn't really spend money on that for myself. And I did. And again, like there was no guilt about it. There was no like, oh, I don't deserve this. I was like, no, I definitely deserve this. I want this. I'm going to get it. I'm trying to think of a couple others because like I said, there were just so many. Like I just feel good. I mean, like basically it just boils down to that. I accept myself. I love myself. I hold myself as sacred and I'm able to honor all aspects of myself that way.
Yeah. And I love that, part of you doing this program was recognizing that your desires, no matter what they are sacred.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of judging them or shaming them or feeling weird or awkward about them, but that what you want is actually a path to more pleasure and more goodness in your life.
Yes, exactly. And it's so true. I mean, and again, like the ripple effect of like not just limited to the bedroom, right? And sex with my partner, but in all aspects of my life. I mean, I have way more confidence now to, step out in my coaching business and be more visible because I don't have weirdness or awkwardness within myself about who I am and how I show up. And so it's kind of like this beautiful, like effortless flow now, which I'm really excited about because I had a lot of fear and anxiety about doing that. And so, Yeah, that's not really a constraint anymore.
Yay! Oh, I love that so much. And Carissa just joined the Pleasure and Prosperity Mastermind that I do for women coaches. So excited to have her in that as well, to take her coaching business to 100K a year.
Yeah. I'm so excited. And again, and I love that I joined that program simply because like you're incorporating in so many of these key aspects that we've already talked about in the Sensually Embodied Woman. Like, I mean, again, pleasure is part of everything in my life, and feeling good about what I'm creating and how I'm creating it so that it supports and sustains my life, rather than is this thing that I'm hustling so hard, everything else goes on the back burner.
Well, I can't wait till we start that and see where that takes you in your coaching business and all of the goodness so you can retire your husband sometimes.
Yes, that would be fantastic. And take some vacations where it's warm and sunny.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, I'm curious, what feels possible for you now after having just done Sensually Embodied Woman?
After the course, I now feel like the possibilities and the doors have opened to really having the life that I really wanted. You know, like having all of the family time, like having a routine and good, like functioning systems in my home and for my self-care so that I can run my business. I feel like it's possible now to be a really good example for my husband and also for my kids of what it looks like when you fully accept yourself and love yourself. I think that that is something that I'm seeing incremental little things shifting for my boys. And, you know, even just me having conversations with my husband about what I'm learning as a sensually embodied woman has caused him to reflect on his life and his sexuality and where he's closed off or his traumas or pains. And it's opened up a really beautiful, deep conversation for the two of us that we never would have had otherwise. So our relationship, because of that, has become deeper and richer, and we have an appreciation for one another that is just really beautiful. I feel like it's totally possible to show up in any room, any building situation, and know that I am completely grounded. I am powerful. I am confident, and I accept me. So if others do not, that's okay. I'm totally okay with that, which I never would have done before. I would have been very awkward and closed and kind of like just retracted, but I feel so expansive.
Yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful. I love how you mentioned how this work has just flown over into so many other areas of your life. Like, it is, when you do sexuality work, you do ground yourself, and a lot of people that, you know, like for example, you want to be a coach and want to start a business, like it's very important to be a grounded individual so that you can actually take actions to do the things possible. So not only has it like laid an amazing framework and foundation for you to start a business and be really successful, but it's also deepened your relationship with your husband. It's interesting because like everyone thinks, well, why would I do a sexuality program on my own if I'm in a relationship? And it's the opposite. Like, you need to do it alone, and your partner probably does too at some point. But like what you do, that work you do on yourself shifts the dynamic of the relationship itself. And you're like the perfect example of that. Like what you've been doing for you has totally shifted your relationship and helped you grow deeper and learn more about each other and connect on a deeper way.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing. And he's been, you know, a great reflector to me of the changes that he's been seeing in me, which is great, you know, so it's nice to have somebody supportive seeing how you're growing and how that's changing so much in the rest of your life and world. I mean, it's just, we have a lot more fun now. I mean, not like we were not having fun before, but there's just a lightheartedness because there's such a deep connection between the two of us now that it's I don't know, it just has so much more room for fun and play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned, like, I knew I was a sexy woman, right? Like, I know
Yeah.
that I am, but the reason it's called the sensually embodied woman is because it's about feeling that as true inside of your body, not as something external outside of you. Like when you look in the mirror, you're like, yeah, I guess I'm sexy or whatever. No, it's about like knowing in your bones, this is the truth of who I am. This is my core essence, and it is freaking sexy and beautiful and electric and gorgeous, right?
Yes.
It's all about taking those messages that we hear, like, oh, I want to live from my queendom, right? I want to be a queen, or I want to be a goddess, or I want to feel sexy, or I want to be confident. And instead of just saying those things, it's about, no, I fucking am, right? And like knowing
Yes.
that as a core truth.
Yes. It's so true. And like when we talked kind of at the beginning of the program, like I have done a lot of different coaching and therapy and counseling and like so many things. And like you just said, those words, like I was telling myself, I am worthy, I am enough, I am beautiful. But the words sat just on the surface. It was like it was in my mind, but not in my body. And it's funny because I was laughing at myself yesterday wearing sweatpants and a headband, feeling more sexy and gorgeous than I'd ever felt, in any kind of fancy dress, right? And it's just because that message of I am beautiful, worthy, enough, glorious, beautiful, like just radiates from the depth of my bones. Like it's in every cell of my body now. It's not something I negotiate with myself or I have mental debates about. It's just like, it is a pure fact that is just the way that it is. So, yeah. I just love it. I have had so much fun and like, I don't know, I've just loved all the practices because really it is the practices on the frequent basis that you have us do them that really makes it sink in to every cell, right? It is just like it becomes a part of you kind of like on an energetic but also biological level, which is just the coolest.
Yeah, well, tell us about some of your favorite parts of the program. We'd love to hear.
Favorite parts of the program, this was the hardest for me to pick because I really loved so many of them. I realized that I really love the breath work that we've done in this program. Again, I have always been a very logical kind of linear person. And so the breath work is something that helps turn my brain off and really dive into kind of more of that primal natural state. So that has been wonderful. I love that. And then anything jade egg, like those practices are like the jade egg practices are what really helped me drop into feeling all of the sensory inside of my womanhood, right? Like it just like it, because you have to, because you're developing and awakening areas of your body that maybe hadn't really been feeling for a long time. And so I really loved the jade egg practices, especially a couple of the releasing practices we did. And then another incredibly transformative practice we did was trauma healing. I've never been sexually assaulted, but like we learned in this program, there are so many other ways that you can learn to not trust your body to be safe in. And so there was the trauma healing practice that we did that really de-armored all of the shaming, all of the like maybe bad relationships, right? Having sex when I didn't really want to, like all of those little traumas and things that had piled up, I got to release those. And the freedom from that is just like, I couldn't even, it's hard to put it in words, but it's like welling up like tears in my eyes because I just felt so much peace that was one of my all-time favorites. That really kind of flipped the switch to change so much of my body's receptivity and my mind and my heart's receptivity to everything that this program had to offer me.
Right. Oh, I love hearing that.
Yeah, it was so good. Definitely one of my favorites. I mean, there are two, and the archetype play. Like, again, being that like classic, like I always fit that good girl, the girl next door, sweet little Carissa kind of like persona, that it was so fun and freeing to step into another possibility. Like, I can actually step into being an incredibly powerful woman. I don't have to be just this little demure Carissa. Like, I can really be full, big, empowered, in control, like wild woman. And so I loved that because it's been so good. Again, things that ripple into other areas of my life, being able to take on and embody that confident woman has been amazing. Again, in work, with my husband, with my kids. It's just been really profound. I loved it.
Yeah, and I'm curious, like, what type of woman would benefit from this program? Who would you recommend take it?
I think that a woman who is struggling with self-acceptance would really benefit. A woman who feels slightly detached from her body, from the capacity of really feeling everything. If you find yourself limiting the amount of emotion you can express or contain, if you feel like you have a cap on how much joy and pleasure you can welcome and receive, if you are feeling kind of stuck in your creativity or your personal expression, like, this would be an amazing program for you. If you feel like you need to build trust with your body and realize that it is a safe and loving space, that would be another key sign. This would be great for you. I mean, I'm really talking to the woman that I was when I started the program, and, if you know that there's deeper connection you can have with your partner, and you feel like you're missing out on that, this would also be for you, because it's so much about your own healing that then radiates into every other aspect of your life. This program would really be something that would help you develop all of that love, acceptance, safety, security, bonding, all within you to then share with everybody else.
And would you say that it was worth the time, energy, and the investment?
Every single penny. I mean, I definitely, like, going through this program, I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm not really, that's a lot to invest in my sexuality. Like, how crazy is that? But, like, again, I would say it's worth every cent and more. And the time and effort that I put into it, I have received tenfold. I am incredibly grateful for this experience and this program. And I have been telling so many of my friends about it because it is so worth it. You got to put in the energy and the effort, though, and then it will, like, come back to you tenfold. Yeah.
Like, you put energy, time, and you have that, commitment via, an investment decision too. And it's like, as long as you show up, like, I'm providing the container for y'all, if everything is there, and if you show up for yourself, you're going to get what you came for.
Exactly. Yes. And, and the other women in the program too, it was great to connect with them and celebrate their wins. Celebrating their wins was like celebrating my wins. It felt so good to be in this container with all these other women on the same journey. It's just fantastic.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us?
Oh my gosh, there's just so much. Like, this program has helped me connect to my deepest, truest self in ways that I didn't know were missing or lacking or insufficient. Like, I just have this full body experience of life now. And it's so hard to put in words. I was like, you just have to be in the program. You have to experience some of these things. And then you will really understand what I'm trying to say with the simple words of, I'm living a full bodied life. Like, yeah.
That's hard to explain. When I first started coaching, it's like, how do you even describe something that you didn't even know you were missing, right?
Yes.
And it is hard. So I know where you're at with that, because I've always struggled with that at first. But until I did, this work on myself years ago, it was in the same place. Like, how do you even get people to understand what they're missing out on until they just do it? And there's just so much more aliveness to be had, so much more of like living a full-bodied life, an embodied life, like feeling you're actually living, and you're not just like a freaking machine or cog in the wheel, just here to be of service to everybody else that wants things out of you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's so crazy because as a massage therapist for 2 decades, I, with my training, was helping people get back into their body in a certain way. And I thought that I was very connected with my body as well. But, so much had been compartmentalized that I didn't realize the disconnect. And so, thinking that I was a grounded person, thinking that I was, aware of my senses and body sensations. And this is just proven to me that I have so much more capacity than I ever realized. It's just kind of mind blowing, just the whole experience.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience. And for those of you that would like to have a transformation similar to Carissa, you can head to www.tellysttorm.com/essentially-embodied-woman. And the next round of the program starts the first week of November. The last day to apply is October 30th, 2020. All right, my love, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye.